What if the stones of London could speak? Imagine the stories they'd tell, from ancient warriors and fierce fires to revolutions that shook the world. This is London, a city built on 2,000 years of secrets, survival, and spirit. More than 2,000 years ago, there was a small settlement on the banks of the River Thames. It wasn't the busy, lively city we know today. It was a simple village, surrounded by forests and marshlands. But even back then, this spot was special. The River Thames was like a natural highway, making it easy for people to travel and bring goods to this place. The first people who lived here were Celtic tribes. These were brave and resourceful people who lived off the land, used the river for fishing and travel, and built their homes around it. But they had no idea that a powerful empire, the Romans, had set their eyes on this area and would soon change everything. In the year 43 AD, the Romans invaded Britain. They chose this spot by the river to build a town, which they called Londinium. It quickly became an important center for trade, where goods from around the Roman Empire would come and go. The Romans didn't just build a small settlement, they created a real city, with roads, walls, and large buildings, making it look and feel like Rome itself. As Londinium grew, it became more than just a town. It was now a place where traders, artists, and soldiers came together. People from many parts of the Roman Empire visited, bringing new ideas, styles, and customs. Londinium was turning into a lively mix of cultures. But Londinium's journey was just beginning. Over the centuries, the city would be destroyed and rebuilt many times, facing wars, fires, and new rulers. Each time, it came back stronger, shaping it into the London we know today. The birth of Londinium, Rome's legacy in Britain. When the Romans came to Britain, they chose a spot along the River Thames to build a town. They named it Londinium. This location was special because the river made it easy for ships to bring goods and soldiers to the town. Londinium connected Britain to the rest of the Roman Empire and helped Rome keep control over its new land. One of the first things the Romans built was a bridge over the Thames. It was made from huge wooden beams and stood on strong pillars. This bridge became the main way people crossed the river, connecting both sides of Londinium. With this bridge, Londinium soon became a busy center for trade. Ships brought items like grains, spices, and cloth from faraway lands. Markets in Londinium were filled with people from all over the Roman Empire, including traders from Egypt, Greece, and France. At the heart of Londinium was the Forum, a large open square surrounded by government buildings, temples, and shops. Here, merchants from many places gathered to trade and talk. Roman soldiers, officials, and local Britons walked the streets. Over time, some Britons started adopting Roman customs, like wearing Roman clothes and using Latin words. Londinium was becoming a mix of Roman and British culture. But Londinium wasn't without its problems. In 60 AD, a British queen named Boudica, who led a tribe called the Iceni, rose up against the Romans. She was angry about how the Romans treated her people, so she gathered an army and attacked Londinium. They burned much of the town down, leaving it in ruins with thick smoke and ash covering the area. The Romans didn't give up. Londinium was too important to abandon. They rebuilt it, making it even stronger by adding high walls to protect it from future attacks. Londinium became a symbol of strength and resilience. Even after being destroyed, it came back and continued to grow, setting the foundation for the London we know today. If you're enjoying this journey through London's history, make sure to subscribe to History Reimagined. We dive deep into fascinating stories from the past, uncovering the events and people who shaped our world. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We have more exciting videos on the way, covering everything from ancient civilizations to modern discoveries. If you're curious about how London grew and survived through incredible challenges, stay tuned. There's so much more to come in this video alone. Shaping England, the Saxon and Viking legacy. After the Romans left Britain in the early 400s, Londinium was left without its Roman protectors. Slowly, the city fell into decline, and much of what the Romans built started to crumble. But new settlers soon arrived. These were the Anglo-Saxons. They were farmers, traders, and warriors from what is now Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands. They saw London's location along the River Thames and decided to settle here, bringing new life to the area. The Anglo-Saxons built their own town a little way upriver from the old Roman ruins. They called it Londonwic, which means London Market. Londonwic became a lively center for trade, where people from nearby villages and distant lands came to buy and sell goods. Over time, Anglo-Saxon customs, language, and traditions shaped London, giving it a fresh identity apart from its Roman past. But as London grew, it faced a new and terrifying challenge: the Vikings. In the late 700s and 800s, Vikings from Scandinavia began raiding Britain's coastlines. These skilled warriors traveled in longships, attacking towns and settlements along rivers and shores. London was an attractive target, with its growing wealth and trade. In 842, the Vikings launched a fierce attack on London, burning parts of the town and taking treasures and supplies. The Anglo-Saxons fought back, but the Viking raids continued for years, making life dangerous and uncertain. However, there was one leader who would step up to protect London: King Alfred the Great. King Alfred realized that the Vikings were a serious threat. He strengthened London's defenses, rebuilt the town walls, and set up a system to guard against Viking raids. He even negotiated a peace agreement with some Viking groups, creating boundaries to limit Viking control. With King Alfred's efforts, London began to grow strong again. By the 900s, it had become one of the most important towns in England. The Saxons and Vikings left a lasting impact on London, blending cultures, languages, and traditions that helped shape the city's future. London in the Middle Ages, the Norman influence. In 1066, a huge change came to England and to London with the arrival of William the Conqueror. William was the Duke of Normandy, a region in what is now France. He believed he had the right to the English throne, so he gathered an army and sailed across the English Channel to take it by force. At the famous Battle of Hastings, William defeated the English King Harold, and soon after, he marched his army to London. William's victory marked the start of a new era for London. To keep control over the city, he ordered the construction of a massive stone fortress, the Tower of London. This wasn't just a fortress. It was also a strong reminder to everyone in England that William was now in charge. Over time, the Tower of London became a symbol of royal power and was used as a palace, a prison, and even a place for executions. The Normans brought many changes to London. They rebuilt parts of the city, adding new buildings, roads, and churches. The city's population started to grow, and so did its influence. More people came to London to work, trade, and live, and London began to take shape as the capital of England. In medieval London, the streets were busy with markets and tradespeople. Different guilds, or groups of craftsmen, organized trades like weaving, blacksmithing, and baking. The city was also known for its festivals and fairs, which attracted people from the countryside and nearby towns. Londoners celebrated with music, food, and performances, adding to the city's lively spirit. Life in medieval London, though, wasn't always easy. The streets were narrow, crowded, and often dirty. Disease was common, and without proper sewers, waste was thrown into the streets. But despite these challenges, London continued to grow. The Norman conquest set the foundation for London to become a center of power and culture. By the 1200s, the city was bustling, with a growing government and economy. The influence of Norman rule helped shape London's identity, and the Tower of London still stands today as a reminder of this important period in history. The rise of London, Tudor and Elizabethan eras. London reached new heights during the Tudor period, especially under the reigns of King Henry VIII and his daughter, Queen Elizabeth I. The Tudors ruled from the late 1400s to the early 1600s, a time when London grew not only in size, but also in importance. This was an age of exploration, trade, and incredible cultural change, and London was at the heart of it all. King Henry VIII, famous for his 6 marriages, made big changes in London. He broke away from the Catholic Church and created the Church of England, with himself as its head. This change allowed him more power, especially in matters of the Church's wealth and land. With this new influence, Henry built grand palaces and spent a lot of money on lavish events, making London the center of English royal life. Then came Queen Elizabeth I, Henry's daughter. Known as the Virgin Queen, Elizabeth ruled during what's often called England's Golden Age. During her reign, London became a major hub for trade and culture. Ships brought goods from all over the world to London's busy ports, including spices, silk, and precious metals. This growing wealth attracted people from around England, and London's population boomed. But it wasn't just trade that made Elizabethan London famous. This was also the age of William Shakespeare and the growth of the theatre. The Globe Theatre became a popular spot where Londoners flocked to watch plays filled with drama, humor, and unforgettable characters. The arts thrived in Elizabethan London, shaping the city's reputation as a place of culture and creativity. Despite its successes, life in Tudor London was tough for many people. Streets were often dirty, and crowded conditions made it easy for diseases to spread. The worst came in 1563, when a terrible plague hit the city, killing thousands. Yet even through hardships, London continued to grow and prosper. The Tudor and Elizabethan period turned London into a vibrant, wealthy city, setting it on a path to becoming a true capital of culture and power. Today, places like the Globe Theatre and Hampton Court Palace remind us of this extraordinary period in London's history. The Great Fire of London, a tragedy and a new beginning. In 1666, London faced one of the greatest disasters in its history, the Great Fire of London. It all started on a quiet Sunday morning in a bakery on Pudding Lane. A small spark turned into a massive fire that quickly spread through the city's narrow wooden streets. Back then, most houses and shops were made of timber, which caught fire easily, especially during the dry summer. The fire raged for 4 days, burning everything in its path. Flames reached over 1,300 degrees Celsius, melting metal and reducing buildings to ashes. People tried to stop the fire by pulling down houses to create breaks, but the wind kept pushing the flames forward. By the time the fire was finally under control, it had destroyed around 80% of London's old city. Over 13,000 homes, 87 churches, and important buildings were gone. But out of this disaster came an opportunity to rebuild London with a new vision. The famous architect Sir Christopher Wren led the effort to rebuild the city, creating a plan with wider streets and more open spaces to prevent future fires from spreading so quickly. One of Wren's most famous projects was St. Paul's Cathedral, which had been destroyed in the fire. He designed a grand new version of the cathedral with a large dome that became one of London's most iconic landmarks. As London rebuilt, new building laws were put in place. From that point forward, buildings in the city had to be made of stone or brick, making them more fire-resistant. The new London was safer and more organized, with wider streets, which also made it easier for people and goods to move through the city. The Great Fire was a turning point for London. While it was a terrible disaster, it allowed the city to start fresh, and the changes made during the rebuilding helped shape modern London. Today, you can visit the monument to the Great Fire, built by Sir Christopher Wren, as a reminder of this event that reshaped the city. The dawn of innovation, Industrial Revolution to Victorian London. In the 1800s, London changed faster than ever before, thanks to the Industrial Revolution. This was a time of incredible growth and invention, when machines started to replace hand labor, making it possible to produce goods much faster. Factories appeared all over London, producing everything from clothes to iron. This new industry created jobs, and people from all over Britain came to London looking for work. Soon, London was the biggest city in the world, with millions of people. With more people came new problems. Many neighborhoods became crowded, and the poor lived in tiny, unhealthy homes. The air was filled with smoke from factories, and the River Thames became so polluted that it earned the name the Great Stink. Disease spread quickly, and life was hard for many in these areas. But at the same time, the Industrial Revolution brought improvements that would change the city forever. One of the biggest changes was the arrival of the railway. Trains made it possible for people to travel much faster, connecting London to other parts of Britain. Railways allowed goods to move quickly in and out of the city, which helped businesses grow. Train stations like King's Cross and Paddington became major landmarks and brought more visitors and workers to London every day. During this period, Queen Victoria ruled Britain, and her reign became known as the Victorian era. Under her rule, London was the center of the British Empire, which stretched across the globe. London was a city of wealth and power, filled with grand buildings, museums, and theaters. The British Museum, opened during this time, showcased treasures from around the empire, attracting visitors eager to see the wonders of the world. The Industrial Revolution made London a world leader, but it also highlighted the need for social reform. As conditions for the poor became unbearable, people started calling for changes, leading to better sanitation, housing, and public health laws. This period shaped London as both a place of progress and struggle, laying the groundwork for the modern city. London in conflict, the World Wars, and their legacy. As the 20th century began, London was a lively, growing city. It was a place of new ideas, with inventions like electricity, the telephone, and motor cars changing daily life. But the new century would also bring some of London's darkest times, as two world wars left their mark on the city and its people. During World War I, which started in 1914, London played a major role in supporting Britain's war efforts. The city became a center for soldiers, supplies, and equipment heading to the front lines. But this war brought something new and frightening: air raids. German airships, called Zeppelins, dropped bombs on London, causing damage and fear among its people. For the first time, Londoners felt the war close to home. Then, in 1939, World War II began, and London would face even greater challenges. From 1940 to 1941, German bombers attacked London almost every night in a period known as the Blitz. For 57 nights in a row, bombs rained down on the city, destroying buildings and homes. Many Londoners sought shelter in underground stations to stay safe from the bombing. Despite the destruction, Londoners showed incredible bravery and unity, helping each other through these hard times. Landmarks like St. Paul's Cathedral became symbols of hope. One famous photo shows the cathedral standing tall with smoke and flames around it, a reminder of London's resilience. Even as entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble, the city's spirit was unbroken. After the war, London had to rebuild again. Many homes, businesses, and historic buildings were gone, but the people were determined to bring their city back to life. New housing projects, schools, and hospitals were built, and London slowly transformed into a modern city. By the time the 1960s arrived, London had become a center of art, fashion, and music, capturing the world's attention once again. The two world wars were painful chapters in London's history, but they also showed the city's strength. London rose from the ashes stronger than ever, becoming a symbol of hope and endurance. London now and ahead, a tale of progress and vision. Today, London is one of the most famous cities in the world, known for its mix of history, culture, and modern innovation. After the rebuilding efforts following World War II, London grew rapidly, with new buildings and neighborhoods transforming its skyline. In the 21st century, the city has continued to expand and adapt, becoming a global center for finance, technology, and tourism. London's famous landmarks, like Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, and Big Ben, draw millions of visitors each year. These places remind us of the city's long history and royal traditions. But London is not just about history. It's also a hub for new ideas and industries. Areas like Canary Wharf and the City of London have become some of the most important financial centers in the world, home to banks and companies that drive the global economy. The city's diverse neighborhoods, such as Soho, Camden, and Shoreditch, each have their own unique character. These areas are filled with restaurants, music venues, art galleries, and shops that reflect the many cultures and communities that call London home. In fact, over 300 languages are spoken in London, making it one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Looking ahead, London faces both opportunities and challenges. The city continues to grow, with new buildings, transport systems, and green spaces being developed to serve a population of over 9 million people. Projects like Crossrail, a new railway line, aim to make it easier for people to travel across the city. At the same time, London is working to address issues like pollution, housing, and climate change, striving to make the city a better place for everyone. London's journey from a small settlement on the Thames to a bustling modern metropolis has taken over 2,000 years. The city's ability to adapt and reinvent itself has allowed it to thrive through war, fire, and change. As London moves into the future, it carries with it the resilience, diversity, and spirit that have defined it for centuries. From its humble beginnings as a small settlement on the River Thames to one of the world's greatest cities, London's journey is truly remarkable. It has witnessed invasions, plagues, fires, and wars, yet each time it rose stronger and more vibrant than before. London's history is a story of resilience, diversity, and constant reinvention. As we look to the future, London's past reminds us of its strength and the endless possibilities that lie ahead. What will the next chapter hold for this city? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: London will continue to inspire and thrive for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of London. If you enjoyed exploring London's incredible past, make sure to subscribe to History Reimagined and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next adventure into the past. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Let us know what you found most interesting or suggest topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Don't forget to like, share, and help others discover these fascinating stories.